Hi guys, it's Top 5 Wednesday, and this week I'm talking about my favourite genres. So I'm going to list my favourite genres and show you some books that I have read and haven't read, but I'm really looking forward to reading in those genres. First off is very obviously fantasy. I absolutely love fantasy, and I know everyone here would most likely know that unless you're very, very new to me, in which case hello. And first off, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and yes, I have read this. It's a bit of a chunk. I absolutely loved it. Hopefully there will be a HBO series coming out at some point. This has been going around for a little while that there's supposed to be a HBO series coming out, but I live in hope. Another fantasy that I absolutely love, which I recently spoke about in my last Top 5 Wednesday, is The Painted Man, and after my last Top 5 Wednesday I bought The Desert Spear. Painted Man, Desert Spear, and then there's The Daylight War, which is out. It came out last year. Painted Man is fantastic, and if you want to hear me explaining The Painted Man and talking about it, I will put like a link on it to my last Top 5 Wednesday video, which was books I'd recommend to new readers, because this is a book that I would recommend to new readers of fantasy. And The Desert Spear is just a continuation of the storyline in that world, and I think it's got a couple of different characters in it. I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm going to have to reread The Painted Man before I actually read that one. The next two in this fantasy genre, and just to round it up, are two that I haven't read, but I've heard fantastic things about, and again they're both quite big, but I can't wait to read them. It's The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. It's about people called mistings who can control different metals, and different metals mean different things as to what sort of powers they give you, and if you are a Mistborn you can control more than one, so you can control all of them, which I assume is a good thing. It's got a huge amount of hype, and I am planning on reading this very, very soon. And the last fantasy book that I haven't read but I own and I can't wait to read is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and everyone goes on about this and says it's fantastic, and I got it for like 50p, and it's pretty much brand new. I think there was like one fault with it that I can't even remember what it was. My next favourite genre is dystopian fiction. 1984, one of my favourite dystopians, and one of my most influential books. I have to admit, getting through the second part of this book took me an audiobook to help me get through it, because I had to read it for university in first year, and it was really difficult, but once I'd read it I absolutely loved it. Another one that I have read, The Hunger Games. I love these editions, and like I've got quite a few compliments about these editions, which I really appreciate, but they're really annoying to film with because they're so shiny. You can see yourself. The tripod and everything. I'm sure everyone knows what this is about now. The last dystopian, which I haven't read yet, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. This will be on my April TBR. Another genre that I absolutely love is post-apocalyptic fiction, which is where I've kind of cheated because dystopian's kind of sometimes post-apocalyptic fiction. The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, which I love, and it's YA but it's brilliant. It's thoroughly entertaining, and I did do a review of it on my terrible old camera, so if you do want to go and see that, you can click on the book. Another post-apocalyptic that I haven't read is Angelfall by Susan E. And this is a post-apocalyptic book about angels. I've heard so many good things about it since buying it. When I actually bought it I hadn't heard anything about it, but since buying it I've heard a lot about it, and I've heard a lot of good things. Another post-apocalyptic fiction I haven't read and I'm kind of excited about, but kind of dreading having to take this to work with me, is The Stand by Stephen King. If you don't know why I'm kind of dreading taking it to work, that's why. This is about some sort of plague that has gotten out into America. I don't know when I'm going to get around to reading this, but this is probably the most deserving of the term post-apocalyptic fiction. One of my next favourite genres is short story collections, and all of these books I have read. Brief Interviews with Hideous Men by David Foster Wallace. This is a fantastic book, and one of the first reviews, actually it was the first review I ever did on this channel, again with my terrible camera. It's pretty much a series of interviews and conversations and stories about human interaction. Angela Carter's The Brolly Chamber, I read this at university and really, really enjoyed it. It's a retelling of some fairy tales, quite gruesome retelling of some fairy tales, but it's really, really interesting. Another short story collection is How We Are Hungry by Dave Eggers, and I've read this one as well. I also did a review on my Tumblr to this one. There are some stories in here that I would definitely recommend people read, and there are others that I kind of was annoyed that I read because I found them kind of boring, to be honest. And another quite big genre, graphic novels. Watchmen, which I also spoke about in the Top 5 Wednesday that I did last week, was probably one of the first big graphic novels I read. I mean, I'd read comic books before. I don't really know if I'd read any graphic novels before this. I read this when I was about 16 and I really enjoyed it. So it was probably one of the first proper graphic novels I read. My favourite graphic novels are the Sandman series by Neil Gaiman. They are fantastic and they're by Neil Gaiman, surprise surprise. It's a really good and interesting storyline about the Endless, which is a family of siblings who are all godlike kind of creatures. They're not gods because they're more than gods. You have dream, death, destiny, despair, desire, delirium and destruction. I got all of those right, didn't I? To just prove to you how much I love this series, and I probably have already told you this, I have a tattoo from the sixth actually instalment of this collection. Another graphic novel that I've read and loved is Saga. I also did a review on this one. This one kind of crept up on me and I really wanted to read it and I really enjoyed it, but I do have a review of this either coming or out. And two that I have got that I haven't actually read yet is Spike After the Fall. This is the first volume. I got it because I think it was on sale at my old comic book store at university. It's set after the Angel season finale, and I personally loved the Angel series a little bit more than Buffy, and Spike is one of my favourite characters. So, and another one that I haven't read that my mum actually picked up for me is Captain America Red, White and Blue. I don't even know when this is set. My mum knows that I love Captain America, so she bought me this I think in second year, and again I haven't read this one yet. So there we are, slightly longer than I anticipated, Top 5 Wednesday. I was kind of just guessing that I'd reel off my favourite genres and then that'd be a bit boring, so I thought I would show you some books whilst doing that. So I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you all next time. Take care, stay shiny, bye. Dystopian fiction. Yeah. Is. Oh shit, my battery's dying. I'll quickly change that before it actually dies. Oh.